The Revolutionary War and Founding, 1770s to 1800s. The Slave System, the Civil War, and the Era of Western Expansion. There is an argument that the American Revolution began before the historic first shot was fired in 1775, but it is widely acknowledged that the confrontation between Britain and America began in 1763. The British gained control of the entire North American continent due to the previous 7 Years' War and the French and Indian War, which led the American colonies to demand more freedom. However, Britain implemented centralization policies to fund itself from the colonies, leading to resistance from the colonists who proclaimed no taxation without representation and clashed with Britain. King George III of Britain declared the colonies were in rebellion in 1775, escalating the conflict. The American War of Independence officially began with the adoption of the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776 and ended in 1783 with the Treaty of Paris. The treaty granted independence and freedom to the 13 colonies and ceded territory from the Mississippi River to Canada and Florida to the United States. However, the United States did not yet have a unified government, with each state forming its own government and working towards a federal government structure. In 1777, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union were adopted to form the central government structure of the United States, but it had issues with power and diplomatic strategy. In May 1787, a convention was held in Philadelphia to draft a constitution, which led to the creation of a strong federal government when it was passed. The federal government is responsible for taxation, diplomacy, and maintaining the military, and it is divided into legislative, executive, and judicial branches to balance power. Within 2 years, 10 amendments were added to the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, to protect citizens' basic rights and freedoms. In the early 19th century, the slave system became important in the United States. Previously, it was expected that the slave system would disappear, but the use of slave labor continued in the southern region due to new economic factors. The biggest factor among these was the large-scale cotton industry. As a result, the United States became divided into states that supported the slave system and those that prohibited it, and the Missouri Compromise in 1820 determined the areas where slavery was allowed and prohibited. However, this issue was not resolved due to the conflict surrounding the slave system, and the 1850s were a time of failure for U.S. political leaders. The American Civil War began when Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860 and 11 southern states declared independence by withdrawing from the Union. A 4-year war ensued, and the Confederate States surrendered. This war has historical significance in that it marked the end of the United States as a federation of semi-independent states and the beginning of a unified government, including the abolition of the slave system. In addition, from 1800 to 25 years, as the frontier area of the United States continued to expand to the west, western expansion and conflicts with Native Americans increased, and the western boundary lines of the states were generally along the Mississippi River in 1865. However, with western expansion, almost all areas were incorporated into U.S. territory. New England and Mid-Atlantic states are centers of manufacturing, commerce, and finance, while the South is primarily agricultural. The Midwest has developed economically due to the Great Plains and population growth. In 1849, gold was discovered in California, and the economy of the West began to flourish. From 1840 to 1860, immigrants from Europe immigrated to the United States in large numbers, and during the Civil War, the federal government managed immigration from Europe, with immigrants accounting for 20% of federal soldiers. Thanks for watching.